that great. Gee, the Lord is with us. The Midianites are oppressing us for 7 years. They rape our sisters. They kill our brothers. They haul our children off to slaves. They've been destroying our crops. They're poisoning our wells. It's wonderful and comforting to know that God is with us. Oh my God, what would it be like if God wasn't with us? Because it's pretty much hell right now. Gideon's question is this: why? A lot of people have that question today. If the Lord is with us, why? Why are there orphans dying of starvation in Calcutta? You need to go there. Why is there people living in burning dump sites called Payatas in Manila, Philippines? You need to go there. I spent the night there. It's rough. If there's a God, then why is there cancer? If the Lord is with me, why is my marriage being torn apart? If the Lord is with me, then why can't I pay my bills? If the Lord is with me, then why can't I find a job? Why do I have this pressure? Why do I have these problems? Tell me about these 7 years, Gideon says. Great question. We all wish we could ask it, but we're afraid to. He's asking the angel of God. You're like, dude, you could be fried right here. So they say, he's a coward. I'm like, well, ask a big question of God. God, why? And I've heard other people ask that question. Some of them scream it. Why did my baby die? I heard that in the hospital. My son, I was being a youth pastor. I was doing, a while ago, I was doing the thing with your age group. We had a great youth group, and I loved it, and I preached. It was Wednesday night. And I preached on Wednesday night. That's when we had our youth group. And then on Wednesday night, I went home. My little boy this big, Israel David Zeigler, this big, was home sick. He had a fever. He got the fever so high, it kept going up and up, and it was 109 degrees, and he started having a seizure, and his eyes rolled back in his head, and he's shaking, and he turns blue, and he stops breathing, and I'm his dad. I'm holding him. I'm watching my baby die. I just preached youth group. Why? I remember calling out to God. Thank God he breathed. I handed him to paramedics and God healed him. The man I stood in the emergency room wasn't so lucky with his daughter. And he was the man going, why? I was afraid to ask the question with him because I'm like, I know, man. At least I got him. I'm so scared. Why? Gideon asked it. I kind of identify with Gideon. Why? What's up with that God? Where are you at? But you're not going to like God's answer. He does answer. You just don't like it. I don't like it. That's the thing about God. He's God. And we're not God. Look at your friend and say, not God. Now, you know what? When you get home tonight, look in the mirror and go, not God. None of us. Listen, He made us. We didn't make Him. We're not Him. He made us, and He has the right to tell us what He wants done. He is the powerful one. Keep it straight. We did not make ourselves, and we did not make Him. It's like that. You don't wear white socks with a dark suit. It's like one of the rules. I mean, and you might look really good in white socks. You might like, dude, I am like great with white socks. I know, but it just don't go. And that's how your little mind's got to realize it don't go that way with God. You don't get to say that you're God. You're just not. You never could be. No hope. And yet people today try to tell you that. They try to say, if there is a God, He's in you. In fact, if there is a God, He's in you, and He's a little g, not a big G. If there is a God, guess what? If there is a God, you're God, and you're not. That's secular humanism. Doesn't work. It's not true. It won't help you. The answer is not an explanation, and that's what we want out of God. Because He's God, He doesn't always give us an explanation, but He always will give you an answer. So here's His answer. God answers him. Doesn't explain it. That's why I like Gideon's question. God needs to explain it. I'm with Gideon on this one, but he doesn't do it. Check this story. Here's God's answer. It teaches you something about God. Because God, He says, Gideon goes, why? And God goes, go in this thy power and save your country. Dude, Gideon's like, what? See, we act like Gideon's holy. Oh, yes, sir. He's a little scared because he's talking to an angel. Now, every time an angel shows up, what does the Bible say? What's the first thing the angel usually says? Fear not! Because you go, oh my God! That's how big they are. That's how strong. The angel shows up, the messenger of God shows up, and it's a little scary. The angel shows up, just shows up in front of us. You're going to be like, ah! Oh, it's an angel. Oh, oh, God. You're going to feel all these feelings like, this is amazing. I'm scared to death. Oh my God, I just peed my pants. Whatever. It's not normal. It's supernatural. You don't know. You really don't believe the supernatural. And when it shows up and you get healed or changed or delivered or empowered by God or something great happens, it amazes you because we really don't believe it. And then it happens and we go, that's awesome. I'm a man of faith and power for the next 5 minutes. Until the next time that I need a miracle. He says, go. The question is, why have the Midianites oppressed us for 7 years? And God's answer is, go in this thy might and save Israel. Why do orphans starve to death in Calcutta? God's answer, feed them. Alright? Why do we have cancer in the world? God's answer, find a cure. God doesn't like baby us. We're His family. He kind of questions like, do you know who you are? God gave respect to Gideon, and Gideon fell back with an answer that was kind of disrespectful. God didn't kill him. God doesn't discuss how hard it's been for us. I don't know about you, but I'm really good at throwing a party. I'm really good. I know that Christians aren't supposed to party, but my party, wow. Oh, I do it all the time. I did it a couple days ago, just before I came to this camp. I'm telling you the truth. Confession is good for the soul. I threw a party. I send out invitations to my party. It's a pity party. I send them to me. There you go. Special invitation to Lloyd Zeigler to come to Lloyd Zeigler's pity party. We're going to pity together. And then I show up at the pity party. I open the door. After the hors d'oeuvres, we sit there and tell each other how crappy we've had it. It's awesome. It's amazing. Everybody agrees with everybody. They're all me. And we sit there going, yes, it sucks. Life sucks. I don't like it. It's not fair. It's a great party. Yeah, some of you maybe had one. Invite me over sometime. I'm really good at those kind of parties. You probably like it. His answer is go and win. God is into us winning. And sometimes, man, I'm so busy worried about how hard it is, how tough it is. But you know, when I was in wrestling, this isn't God. This is wrestling. Sweaty, lose 25 pounds, run 20 miles a day, do everything you can to go to a tournament so you can wrestle like 25 other sweaty guys in 3 days to win. Here's what it is. All that stuff, wearing the little singlet, like shows everything. It's like we're exposed to the world. That's a bad sport, wrestling. I mean, I remember the first time they gave me that, they go, put this on. I'm like, what the heck? Can I just wear like clothes? No, you gotta wear this. Oh, jeez. I wasn't the biggest guy in the block anyway. I was just like little Bruce Lee, but I was like, this is kind of nasty. So I put it on, and I put on my warm-ups, thank God. I remember I had to take off my warm-ups. So I think I won the first match just because I was mad because I had to wear that thing. I killed that guy as fast as I could to get back into the warm-ups. I'm like, make this quick, dude. But I'm telling you, that's what happens sometimes. You find yourself in a very uncomfortable, like actually saying about, situation. Gideon, God said, go in this thy power, and Gideon says, why? And God offers a miracle. He won't discuss the situation. So do you take the miracle? So Gideon says, what power? Go in this thy power. And Gideon goes, what? What power? Do you not think, God, you don't think I would have already done that 6 years ago? I can't. I'm the least guy in my whole family. And we're the least tribe in our whole country. I'm the worst one for you to choose to do a job like that. No one will believe me. That's Gideon's answer. Gideon makes perfect sense to me. But the angel is speaking for God. And I can't think like God. And guess what? Neither can you. It takes faith to understand God. You don't understand God and believe. You don't get the answer you want most of the time and believe. But if you'll take God's answer, you'll usually do something so phenomenal that years later they'll be talking about you. See, Gideon's like, I've had 7 years. Some of you have been dragging your problem around for, how old are you? 13. Sometimes a problem for somebody like you, probably, it could be 10 years. 13. I mean, problems start early. How many of you know problems start early? Some people are like almost born with them. Sometimes you show up on planet Earth and it's like you inherited them. You're like, I just got here. You're just like, what in the world? I got problems. I mean, how did I get problems? I just got born. Because problems don't play fair. They show up at any time for any person. Doesn't matter if you're pastor, bishop, if you got a good family, bad family, it doesn't matter. They come after you. And so when they come, you say, how do I deal with it? He's been dealing with it for 7 years. So God says to Gideon, go in this thy power. So let's just say, God is right, so maybe there is a power in you. God is right, so maybe you have resources that you don't know you have. Jesus said, every man is given a measure of faith. That God gives a measure of faith. Can you imagine this big barrel of faith? Now, how big do you think God's hands are? He's got to have pretty big hands. I mean, bigger than this. It's not very big. I remember walking up to Shaquille O'Neal, and he shook my hand. And I remember, he almost shook my arm. His hand, it went, my hand, his arm, his fingers were here. I'm like, you go, this is Pastor Lloyd. And Shaquille, hey, Pastor Lloyd. And I'm just like, oh my God, he touched me. I'm an idiot. I'm like, dude, you guy's a monster. You should stand next to Shaquille O'Neal. You feel like a little pygmy. When he shook my hand, it was just like, I remember his fingers were right here. I was with my daughter, and I go, did I look stupid? She goes, definitely. I'm like, oh, well, I'm sorry. That's pretty sad when your own daughter tells you that. It was like, I must have been a dork for sure. I have friends in basketball, but that guy's a monster. See, how big do you think God's hand is? So he gives every man a measure of faith. So you're number 23 in line. You're number 23 in line. You're waiting in line for your measure somewhere before you come to earth, or he's giving you a measure. I don't know if it's after you arrive, before you get here, but you got one. And so you're 23 and God's reaching down in the bucket and he's given each person, here you go, here's your faith, and it's falling through his hands, and there's a little angel walking on the line going, you want a bag? Any bags? I need a bag. I need a bag. I get my bag for, and then now I'm number 15. The line's moving really fast, man. Measures are being doled out. And you're 15 and you're talking to the guy behind you, and then next thing you know you're 7, and pretty soon you're 3, your eyes are fixed right on him. He walks up, Lloyd Zeigler, yes, here's your measure. He fills a whole bag of sand. You stand there, the angel goes, move forward, sir. Sir, move forward. Okay, I have a measure. How do you think, how big do you think it is? How many of you think that he doesn't take the time to pick out one grain? Licks his finger, gotta get a grain of a mustard seed for this dude right here. Here's the grain. A half grain. He's a half brain. Might as well give him a half grain for Lloyd Zeigler. Half grain, there's one right there. Yeah. You think God does that? Because he says if you have it as a grain of a mustard seed, you can move the mountain over there. I don't know, just put it out there. You do have power, and it doesn't take much to get it, because a grain of a mustard seed gives you pretty much power. And if you got faith that big, you got it. You got to have God. You got to give God something to multiply. I told you George dancing because it goes with the message. You got to, if you want to, God's into math. You got to give him something to multiply. Now, my youngest grandson is Brady Condor. He's about this high. He's 95 pounds. I was 98 pounds in high school. Brady's going into 2nd grade. He's a chunk. He's like, do you think I'll be a running back like my brother? I said, I think you'll be a lineman. Maybe half the line, the way you're headed. Slow down. He's big, 2nd grader. And I'm like, dude, he has a good heart. He thinks he's Chris Farley too, and he thinks he can dance like Michael Jackson. And he's a dichotomy. You don't have a fat white kid that can tell jokes and wants to dance. I remember we went to This Is It in the theater. It was all African American in the theater, and Brady's in there dancing with all the kids. And he's a pretty good dancer. He tried to dance on the Masters team for a while. He's crazy. Sometimes I have to teach him his mathematics. His mother's a teacher, my daughter, and so sometimes I'm like, I'll help him. Grandpa will help. Now, I'm actually really pretty good at math myself, but I'm like, I'll help him. And I always like to, I'm like, I'll take the zeros. I'm really good at teaching him zeros. So I'm like, I love zeros. I'm like, Brady, I'm going to teach you zeros. You're going to love the zeros. I'm good at zeros. So 0 times 1 is 0. It's great. 0 times 2, Brady. 0. You're good at it too. You're a mathematician. Me, you, George Gansey. We're going to make it right there. Look at this. 0 times 145. Brady, got this. 0. And he's like, I'm getting it, Grandpa. 0 times 1,500,000, Brady. He goes, 0. We got it, Brady. We're going down the road. We're going down it. 0 times 4,325,000. 0. Yes, Brady. Check this out. See how good you are at it. 0 times God. 0. Check this out. God times 1. The number doesn't even fit on the blackboard. You gotta give God something to work with. That's why he waits. He waits for you. He's like, I don't need a lot. I just need some. Just give me a little something, something. I'll make something happen. Just show up. Just one. Just a half pint. Just give me the least of the tribe, the least of the family, the one that feels like he has the least to offer, and I'll wipe out those Midianites. Just one person. Go in this thy power. When you 1 times God, you have power. All his power. Everything's with you. Gideon asked for a sign 3 times until he gets his army. He gets a great army. Has momentum. How many of you have ever stepped out and done something for God and you get that first burst of momentum? You're like, dude, it's working. You're really surprised. I remember I started this ministry called Masters And we started, biker bar, an old biker bar. The bikers were out. The cockroaches were still there. They weren't bad, but they were big enough you could skateboard on them. They were super. They had been dining on biker beer. Them things were big. They also had big mice, huge mice in there. And we were going to start the massive commission. And so we're going to bring all these people in there. I remember I'd be speaking, and sometimes the girls would be, ah! I thought it was the Holy Ghost. It was mice. Mice were scary. But it worked. I mean, it got me excited. I was just like, wow, praise the Lord, God's doing something. Until I went and killed all the mice. I shouldn't tell you. Well, I don't think you don't care. But in Arab America, I won't tell because I'd probably get arrested. I said over the hammer, and every time they came out, bang, one. I just got so mad. The mice were ruining my ministry. So it's like, me and the mice, I will kill all of you. Just a hammer. That's all it took. It was actually fun. I enjoyed it. I'll confess that too. See, you say, I'm not good enough. I know, but is God good enough? If it's God and you, God times one, then it's not just you. So now, you say, but Lloyd, I'm not good enough to do this thing. I know, is God good enough? Well, of course. Well, that's all you need. But I'm not ready. Hey, is God ready? That's all you need. Do I have enough power? Do you think God has enough power? The scripture says this, if God be for us, who can be against us? Who? And the answer is, no one. You see, he started the war and he got momentum. 164,000 people show up. He's actually like, dude, 164,000 people, I'm the leader of the army. 160, we're going to go fight about 3 million people. That's cool. 164,000, we're in good shape. We got 164,000, dude. That's better than I thought. And he sits there and he comes out and God goes, guess what? This ain't going to work, dude. There's too many people. So imagine, first of all, you're the least of the tribe. God chooses you. For a moment, you feel like you're moving up. But now, there's soldiers that have fought in this army for hundreds of years. They're soldiers. You're not. You were the scaredy cat. Now you're there leading it, and you're telling them, and they go, what did God say? And you go, God said we need to send some people home. And the soldiers are like, dude, we just went and rounded up all these guys. We did a recruitment. All right, whatever. How about like, okay, well, how do we got to do it? He goes, if you're a new father, you can go home. If you just bought a new home, you can go home. If you got a new garden, you can go home. If you just want to go home, you can go home. And guess what? A whole lot of people went home. They're like, thank you very much, we're gone. And the soldiers, I think somebody, they're like, what is he doing? He's leading wrong. He's doing it wrong. He's doing it wrong. And now he's like, man, I told God I wasn't the leader. Why are you making me do this? It's already been a problem. Now we just lost all these people. We're down to 32,000. And then some soldier, I can see him, he goes, no, dude, we don't want those wimps. He got rid of these guys. Most of those guys were bookkeepers. We don't want them. We want to fight. Look around, man. We're still here. The guys are like, cool. Now he comes out and he goes, okay, God, man, thanks, God. The guys, I thought they were going to kill me. What's up? And God goes, no, this is too big. We're going to have a water drinking contest. And if they don't drink the water right, they have to go home. Oh, God, they're not going to... Oh, my goodness. Okay, so he has to go back and tell them. He has to say, we're going to go down to the lake, and I want you to drink water. And he doesn't give any instructions. It's like a Rob thing at camp. It's a trick. And so he sends down there and he goes, just drink water. And they drink water, and then he goes, all you guys who got down and drank water and didn't just do it on one knee and watch for the enemy, you have to go home. He has 300 left, 300. He's reduced the army from 164,000 to 300. Then the worst part comes. God goes, we're going to change the weapons. And listen, he goes in and God's actually talking to him. And when he comes out, he goes, okay, you pass all the swords and the spears. You throw the shields in there too. Pass them over to the ushers at the end of the row. Just pass them all down. Pass those down. Yep, thank you. They're like, what are you doing? Just pass them. Pass it all. We have some other weapons here. Pass them down. Would you please hand out those water pitchers from the camp? Hand the water pitchers out. Please hold your pitchers. Don't break your pitcher or you'll have a $10 charge. Don't break the pitchers until we tell you to. And then hand out those torches. And the guys at least got a torch. At least they can burn their hair off or something. They're like, okay, cool. And then he says, also, would you hand out the trumpets? You can see these men like, I don't know how to do it. We're going to have trumpet practice. Ashley will come and she's going to try to have you trumpet practice before we go out. Can you imagine what happened to this guy? They surrounded them. The man who's a nothing, a zero, who says he can't, who's bankrupt, who's struggling. But when they attack them, he says, we're going to surround them. We're going to surround them in the middle of the night. We're going to blow the trumpets and wake them up so they're so angry. Then we're going to break the pitchers holding the torch so they can see where we're standing. And we're going to yell at them real loud. The sword of the Lord and of Gideon. Of course, we don't have a sword, but we're going to yell at them. And then God's going to give us a mighty victory. That sounds like something that youth pastors would do. We're idiots. Why do we do that? Because you're tough. The generation has all kinds of attacks. So why do we come and have a camp and tell stories? And because God told us to. And they did that, and they saved their nation in one day. In one day, those people that had raped their girls, ruined their kids, ruined their crops, were done. They were gone in one day's time. Isn't it interesting that God identified His name with Gideon? He says, I'm the God of Abraham. I'm the God of Isaac. I'm the God of Jacob. The sword of the Lord and of Gideon. God, when He sends you somewhere, He'll put His name with your name. That's our God. Now, I could tell you the story. That's why I told you. There's a lot more. There's a lot more, but our time's really gone. I want to show you a little picture. A picture of what I see all the time when I show up on the street or in the neighborhood. I see young people, and they're standing on the edge of a cliff. And that cliff goes way down. And they need help. And it's kind of skinny right here, and there's a little gap right there. And God shows up, and He goes, I'm here to save you. And they try to reach Him. They try to reach Him. But all kinds of things get in their way. People get in their way. Addictions get in their way. Money gets in their way. Opportunity gets in their way. You have more distractions than any generation previous to you. And every time you reach out to God and He's reaching out to you, every time you do, something comes and pulls you back a little farther. But if you ever could get to God, if you ever get God, get a hold of Him, you're like, I'm safe. Well, yeah, it's better than that. It gets better. You're safe, but you're also the devil's worst nightmare. Because at this point, God gave you two hands. So you're holding on to God. You reach back with the other hand. And even the people that tried to pull you down, your friends, your enemies, the people in your city, people from other places that said all kinds of things, you now can become the bridge to grab a hold of them, and they can climb over all that to God. That's why we believe in holding on to God and reaching back to others. Look, people say, my situation is hopeless, and I want you to know, no, it's not. Your situation is not hopeless. No one is hopeless. They're just without hope. But if you get a hold of hope, you can hold it out to a world who desperately needs hope.